he is no stranger to pulling off the impossible. Transforming a family home in 10 days and creating a village for veterans in Manchester in just over a fortnight are among the television show's recent credits. As the presenter of DIY SOS, but nothing could prepare Nick for his biggest project ever, rebuilding for Grenfell. Nick Knowles likes a challenge. Nick was working late on another DIY SOS program on the night of June 14, 2017, when the deadliest fire in modern British history broke out in Grenfell Tower, killing 72 people and seriously injuring many more. "We sat there in disbelief as we watched it unfold," says Nick. Our executive producer was in Grenfell 3 days after the fire. Nick and the team spent a year meeting families who lived in the tower and community leaders, hearing from them what they wanted built, how, when and where we wanted to help. I was there a week later. The consensus was that DIY SOS should attempt to build a new home for the Dale Youth Boxing Club, which had its gym and ring on the second floor of the tower and is currently in a temporary home in a car park. The club has been training youngsters in the area for more than 50 years and spawned the careers of James DeGale, who won an Olympic gold medal in Beijing, and George Groves, current WBA super middleweight champion. In addition, Grenfell representatives requested a community center to house, among other services, Child Bereavement UK, a national charity that helps children come to terms with the loss of a loved one. The results of this epic challenge can be seen on BBC One tonight, when the new boxing gym is unveiled for the first time. In next week's episode, viewers will see the completion of the community centre project. The project would have cost more than £2 million had it been publicly funded, and the huge site, under the A40 Westway, presented unique challenges. "It is the most important build we have ever done," says Nick. This, combined with the location, meant they could not rely on volunteers. For the first time, the DIY SOS crew were working with steel. Digging deep into their contact books, Nick and the crew pulled together a specialist team, including the future King of England Prince William came in on the week leading up to his brother's wedding. So he was a very busy man. Nick says he has been engaged in Grenfell from the start. He visited 3 days after the fire. He met a lot of the families and he was interested in what had happened to them. The prince is seen painting a wall as he chats to Nick. "It has been one of the worst disasters in modern times in this country," William says. "I think everyone has been shocked by how brutal and horrendous it all was. But for the community, they're reliving it all the time. So progress needs to happen, and the community coming together is the first important part of fixing that." The boxing club was 9 months in the planning and took 9 weeks to build. A computer-generated image reveals a state-of-the-art gym, a competition-standard boxing ring, changing rooms and a mezzanine viewing platform. Nick says that, with gang crime on the increase in London, clubs such as Dale Youth play a crucial role in keeping young people off the streets and out of trouble. The kids learn about nutrition, respect and self-control, Nick says. Kids want to belong to something. It's not all to do with boxing. Some kids just do the training, girls and boys. Belonging to their club means they don't get into gangs and turf wars. It's important because there's a lack of youth clubs today. There were plenty of structural challenges facing the team, but they were at pains to ensure that, above all else, they respected the wishes of a traumatized community. There was mistrust in the community, felt misrepresented, Nick says. Some of the kids living on the estate told me that they didn't realize they were deprived until they heard themselves described like that on the news. With Nick's can-do attitude, it's not surprising he wanted to tackle one of the biggest problems facing the community, getting families rehoused. "It's frustrating they have not been provided with the housing needed," he says. One night after filming ended, Nick got talking to a fellow guest in his hotel, a former Grenfell resident. "She was still living in a hotel 11.5 months on. It's terrible and doesn't make financial sense. You could buy a house or a flat for the cost of that. We have not reacted as we should have done," he says. There is a heavy emotional burden for the families, and it is difficult for them to deal with that in transient accommodation, he says. For every month and year that those who lost their homes are not rehoused, we should ask why. Nick hopes that the new boxing premises will give them positivity, hope and confidence. They can rebuild, and they are determined to rebuild their community. That's not to forget what happened there, but they need to rebuild their lives. DIY Grenfell will be broadcast on BBC One tonight at 9 p.m, with part 2 next week.